definitely has a really good poke to it.
That's good.
Put your foot down. It has the torque of a diesel engine.
How's it going, everyone? Today we've got a Freelander 2 and yep, let's get talking. What are the specs on this car?
So this is a 2.143cc, or otherwise a 2.2 diesel, producing 188 horsepower with a 1.8 ton weight. Four-wheel drive, of course, as well, in a lovely gold.
And an automatic gearbox?
That's correct, automatic gearbox. It has different off-road modes, so you've got your normal driving mode, as well as hill decline assist. Basically what that means, if you go down a steep hill, put that button on and the car will go as slow as you need it to go. So obviously this is you got a diesel engine, you've got loads of torque when you want to go, you've got your different terrain modes. So currently we're just in normal mode, however there is a winter mode, there is a summer mode, and there is a tree mode.
Off-road mode.
Yeah, different off-road modes. You've got loads of modes here on the steering wheel, so you've got your cruise control, which is great, you've got horn, you've got your volume, everything.
What's your opinions on the car? Are you a fan of it?
Okay, well, so after driving this car, I'm honestly very honestly surprised. It's a lot more comfortable than I thought it was going to be initially, okay? It's got a lot more power than I expected it to have. It handles very nicely on the road. And the fact that, you're sitting rather high up compared to, the general cars we drive, which are sports cars or, saloons. So you have a lot more vision, so you can see a lot more. You've got quite thin pillars, actually, which is quite nice. Large wing mirrors. So you've got a lot of presence on the road, and you know exactly where you are, besides the fact the cabin's huge inside.
Yeah.
So I honestly I wasn't expecting great things from Freelanders. But yeah, fantastic. I quite like it, actually.
So obviously this car sits quite high up. Do you know what the ground clearance is?
Yeah, so it's got 210 millimeters of ground clearance. It's on 17-inch alloys. And interesting thing is it's got half a meter of wading depth. So if you're driving through a river, or you have a little river on your farm, wherever you are, you can go up to half a meter before it starts affecting this car.
SUVs don't tend to have the best fuel consumption. What is it getting for you?
So on the trip computer, we were averaging 32 to the gallon, which is bang on where it's supposed to be. So this car here should be able to get about 32 to 40 to the gallon, and where this car lives, or where the owner keeps it, is up in the hills, a bit of country roads. So it's definitely not going to be the best fuel consumption, but you got to take into account it's been driving up and down hills. So hills kill your fuel consumption. So very surprised at that. It's just fantastic. 32 to the gallon. Driving this around, I'm actually honestly very impressed.
That's pretty good. Took that corner pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably the four-wheel drive system really kicking in just to take it around, because like rally cars are sort of the same. And
being also a bit of an off-road vehicle, it's generally off-road vehicles tend to have a lot of body roll because you obviously sit higher up, suspension's a lot less firm, but this is rather firm suspension for going around corners and stuff. I think it's a fantastic car.
So what would be some of the reasons that you would consider to buy a Freelander 2?
Okay, well, first of all, it's a rather compact SUV. It's not as big as a Range Rover or any of the big vehicles, so you get a little bit of, well, you got a lot of space. You've got 5 seats in it. You've got obviously space in the boot as well. You sit nice and high up. It's pretty good on fuel. They're rather reliable. Now, obviously that just depends on maintenance. But you've got 17-inch wheels, which is not crazy. You've got all your creature comforts. It's got cup holders inside, which is an important thing. German cars, please remember cup holders. You've got a rear wiper, so you never have to worry about rear visibility. You've got rather thin A-pillars and B-pillars, so you have great visibility while you're driving. It's comfortable. It's got a lot of power for what it is, and it's obviously always four-wheel drive. So in the UK, where you have snow, you have heavy rains, the potential of flooding, it's perfect for that there.
What would be some interesting quirks about the car?
Ooh, interesting quirks. It has headlight washers, which is pretty good. Obviously if you're busy waiting in the countryside and you're going through mud, or even if you're driving behind someone, a lot of the time you get a lot of mud and splash thrown up on you. So you've got headlight washers that can obviously clean the headlights, so you can always see where you're going, which is very important. You also have, like I said, large wing mirrors, so you have more visibility. So if you're towing a car, or you're towing a trailer, you can see more clearly. You don't have to necessarily add those extra wide, weird looking wing mirrors. You also have, like I say, the hill decline assist. You've got different driving modes. It's good on fuel, and has roof racks built in.
Now, I have heard these cars in particular are quite reliable, but you hear the opposite.
Yeah, I've heard the opposite. I've heard that they're rather actually unreliable. Now, I think that might be down to the engine. There might be different engine variants, but you know, at the end of the day, what's reliable to some person is not reliable to everyone. So it just kind of might just depend on your past experience with them.
Fair enough.
But having driven this car, I'm actually honestly very surprised.
Yes.
It's really comfortable, loads of open space. I never would have assumed there would be so much space in this thing. And for obviously what it is, it's a baby SUV or, you know, a small off-road vehicle. It drives really nicely.
How does the gearbox react to different driving modes?
Okay, well, obviously the car has, you know, just your standard driving mode, which is just your, you know, normal park drive and reverse, Prindle, as some people like to call it. But you have you can push the gear stick over and it goes into like a sport mode where you can manually change the gearing, although when it shifts. But when you go into like hill decline assist, it can actually go into it. Limits it to basically make a car as slow as possible, and it helps obviously going down a very, very steep hill. So instead of you using your brakes, it'll try to keep it as low of a gear as possible to try to get the engine RPM up, using the engine to slow you down. Yeah, so like I said, there's 6 speeds as well. So you've got good ratios. Also, when you're trying to go on the motorway and stuff like that with top speed, I think it's 118 miles an hour, which rather impressive for what it is, you know. Otherwise, you know, there's not really much else to say about this car other than, you know, it's held up very well. This is a 13-year-old car currently, and it still looks very, very nice, very, very modern. It's got all your creature comforts. You've got electric windows, you've got your wipers in the front, wipers in the rear, you've got obviously an automatic gearbox, your digital trip computer, good weighting depth, big wheels, and you know, overall it's just a really nice car to drive. Two more noticeable things is you have actual proper vents. You don't have any of this fake things from new cars, which I don't know why they do that. It's just, what's the point? And this car does not have, it looks like there is space for a like sat nav.
Yep.
This car doesn't seem to have it. So you actually gain a little bit more storage, because to be honest, sat navs from 2011, I don't think they're very good. Well, they weren't very good, to be honest. But the extra storage is obviously handy, and you know, you can never have enough storage, can you? You sit high up, you've got loads and loads and loads of visibility, big windows, big side mirrors,
Yes.
which is great. You've got everything you need. The steering's nice and light. You've got a cool fob. You've got an engine start stop, automatic.
Now is the important part to rank this. So,
What are the 4 key questions we have, Connor?
yes, the first one is
Future classic. Then we have, is it a good daily?
Yep.
Is it hard on the wallet? And is it a fun car to drive? So, number 1, do you think it's going to be future classic? That's my
Future classic. Now, I would say unlikely.
I would agree. I would agree for the reason that Defenders, people love them. Range Rovers, people love them, and people love to have them.
Yeah.
But I think the Freelander falls in that awkward between where you either are a Defender fan or a Range Rover fan, and there's very few people left to be a Freelander fan.
Yep. That's it, mate.
Very practical car and a great car, but in my opinion, I don't think it's going to be a future classic. I think you'll find a lot of these are going to go to scrap, and it's going to be very, very few in the long run.
And then that brings us on to daily. Is it a good daily car?
So I mentioned on this earlier when we were talking, but I honestly think before I would have said no, for the reasons of who needs an SUV. But honestly, I actually quite like this car. You got loads of space. You know, if you, let's just put in a scenario. Let's say you have a dog in your family. Okay, you know, you got space for 5. You've got space for the dog in the back. You have access to a roof rack. So if you're going to go on a long trip, you can put a roof box or whatever on the top. You can tow. So you're going to go to a caravan or whatever you're going to do. So I think it would make a fantastic daily. You got loads of space for the family. You got loads of space for friends and whatever else you're going to bring. If you need to go shopping at IKEA, which I know I hate, but there's loads of space for that. It's rather good on fuel, getting 32 to the gallon. They're not awfully expensive to purchase, and they're not awfully expensive to own. You know, rather reliable engine, not really much to go wrong. There's no crazy electronics, there's no air suspension. I think it would make a very good daily.
And what number would you put for it?
I would say maybe a 7.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'd say 7.
That's fair. Would you mind just giving it a wee bit of... Now, I know it's not a performance car.
It definitely has a really good poke to it.
That's good.
Put your foot down. It has a torque of a diesel engine.
Yes.
You don't have the horsepower, but it definitely pulls really well.
That was actually pretty good. I'm surprised for this car because I'm sure it's not light.
No, and obviously it's an SUV, which is not the most aerodynamic shape in the world, but the trip computer is telling me we have averaged 29.3 miles to the gallon, which is rather impressive where you consider this car doesn't live anywhere near a flat road. It's all up and down hills, and for what it is, it's fantastic. For hard on the wallet, I'm honestly going to say it's going to be pretty good on the wallet. Good on fuel, right?
Okay.
It's practical.
Okay.
So, think of it this way. Instead of getting a delivery, you can do it yourself. You don't need to go to IKEA and get them to deliver it. You can pretty much, it's like an all-round car. I'm going to give it a 7. Not the worst, not the best, but definitely on the cheaper side.
I would personally pick maybe 6 because I just don't know if you'd be hit with a big reliability cost, but I mean, it's 13 years old, it's held up this long, so I would assume that it's pretty good, but
Yeah.
I would put it just that bit down, but
So we're going to give it a 6 for cost?
we'll give it a 6.
Now, the last question is fun.
It's not going to do too well on this.
I disagree.
Well, you can have
What is
fun.
more fun than off-roading?
Now that is true, you can have fun in that way, but you can't have fun going from 0 to 60, none of that.
So, this car here, I think it's 0 to 60 is about 9 seconds, which is nowhere near fast, but you've got the punchy torque engine, diesel engine, which gives you loads of torque, with a 6-speed gearbox, so you have good ratios. So honestly, it has a really, really good pickup, and I would say it's got enough power to overtake on a country road. Maybe not at high speeds, but we were driving down here, and it was nice and firm on the country roads. There wasn't too much body roll. It actually performed really nicely. So I'm going to say, controversially, I'm going to give it a 6, maybe a 7.
Okay, yes.
Because you have enough power to overtake. You have enough power to obviously enjoy the car. You have the ability to take it off-road, which you don't with any other cars we've had on the channel so far. So for the fact that you have the power, you have the suspension, which is obviously comfortable, and you can take it off-road, I'm going to give it a 7.
So that gives us a total of...
Which is rather good.
Yep. And the percentage is...
So, I recommend this car.
I would as well. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one. See you later.
Now let's go off-roading. Off Reynolds Zoe.